All right, we are going to take a very, very deep dive into the world of binge eating. I am not an expert. I am not a doctor. I'm not a counselor. I'm not an eating disorder specialist. I am going to be talking to you very plain Jane about my experience with binge eating, what helped me get past binge eating. And I have now worked with countless coaching clients who came to me with binge eating issues, and many of them have either greatly reduced their binge eating or eliminated their binge eating due to a lot of the principles I'm going to share in these videos. But again, I am not a professional, so I always encourage people to seek professional help if you're truly struggling with an eating disorder. But I think a lot of these tips, if you follow them, will help you. So let's first just kind of put out there what binge eating is, because it's really astonishing to me how long I struggled with it without knowing what it was. How many of my coaching clients come to me and they're not even 100% sure if they're struggling with binge eating. So binge eating is actually a classified disorder. I believe it was added to the DSM a few years back. But basically, like if I were to summarize down what is binge eating in just general terms, a lot of people just associate with the volume of food. That's a component of it, how much you eat. But it's also the lack of control, feeling like you want to stop, but maybe you can't. A hurried eating, wanting to do it in secret or private. And usually extreme feelings of shame and guilt after you're finished, overly stuffed for you, things of that nature. And I'm going to give you some examples, and these are things that I actually did. And so this will hopefully help. But binge eating is, I would go into a Walgreens, buy multiple packs of donuts, park my car behind the Walgreens, scarf them down, throw the wrappers in the dumpster because I didn't want anyone to know that I had eaten them all. It would be buying a candy at a convenience store, knowing somebody's out in the car waiting for you, going in the bathroom, scarfing it down, throwing the wrapper away, and then coming out as if nothing happened. It could be waiting out your loved ones to leave, being kind of excited that they're going to be gone for the night, having pre-purchased all your binge foods and having them in the kitchen and pantry. And then God forbid if they don't go, you're kind of feeling a little pissy because now what are you going to do? You were so looking forward to binging in the evening. It's that thought process of, I'm going to eat large quantities of food to me, which make my feelings better or feel better. And then when it's done, it's usually an overwhelming feeling of guilt and shame. That's kind of the process, right? It could be I ate a nice dainty salad at a restaurant with friends, and then I come home and I scarf down a half a carton of ice cream and a half a pizza while standing in front of the refrigerator because I really didn't want the salad at dinner, but I was afraid to order what I really wanted because I was 300 pounds and I didn't want anyone to see me eating a burger because, how could I possibly do that? It's all of these weird things we do with food because we ultimately are struggling with one of two components, and I was both. One is emotionally, we don't know how to deal with things. So we're using the food as a way to kind of push down how we feel. The other thing is we've been on very restrictive diets and been very restrictive with our thoughts on food. And so when we decide we're no longer doing that, what ultimately happens is a backlash, right? You pull the ball one way, extreme restriction with food. When you let it goes back the other way, the extreme response, which is overeating with food. So there's those two reasons that a lot of people binge. It's the emotional pain that they don't want to deal with. They're dealing with the binge eating, or it's usually over restrictiveness with dieting and food rules and all the I shouldn't have this, I can't have that food thought process. So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about it, the key components when you're assessing yourself are, one, maybe I do this more ritualistic behavior of buying the food, camping out, hoping nobody comes home, or trying to do this by myself, right? Do you find you're standing in front of the refrigerator sometimes, scarfing food down? Do you sneak food into the bathrooms or hide behind stores and throw wrappers out in dumpsters? Do you, eat food extremely quickly in large quantities? And here's a good gauge to know. If anyone you respected were to walk in the room and see you in the behavior, Would it embarrass you? So imagine you sitting at a table having a piece of cake on a plate, napkin, cup of tea. Not embarrassing, normal, right? That's something that nobody would think twice about. You over a half of a chocolate cake at the kitchen sink, scarfing it down, chocolate frosting all over your face, paints a different picture. And you probably would not want someone you respected, loved, or cared about to come in and see you in that mode. I know that was one of my greatest fears. I was afraid someone was going to walk in and see me in the act. That's how you might know you struggle with binge eating. Again, I'm not a therapist, counselor, medical professional. I'm just sharing my collective experience with this, what it looked like for me, and a couple of examples of things I've seen other people suggest to me that they did. But this is just some indicators you might struggle with this. So what I'm going to do in the next few videos is I am going to share with you some of the behaviors I started with when I was working on my binge eating and weight loss, and how it progressed, what I've learned, and how I keep the binge eating at bay for myself now, how I have not had a binge, and I can't tell you how long, and I'm so grateful for that, because I started binging when I was 8 to 9 years of age. So this has been something I really struggled with. I hope none of this resonates with you. I hope you go, nope, not me. That's awesome. But if it does resonate with you, I'm hoping that this video series on binge eating will help you like those steps helped me. You guys have a great day, and I'll be back with more later.